What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos, and welcome to the Frost and Fists. Welcome to the show tonight, guys. It is just me tonight, so anyone visiting, I apologize if you're stuck with your Wolf Brother. The gents could not be here tonight, although Freak said that he may jump in later on. And Brother Oni tonight is actually starting a Frosthaven campaign at his local store. So that'll be every other week for him. And yeah, I hope he has a ton of fun with that. So for me, I am going to do some painting tonight. Just going to do a chill paint and chat with anybody that comes in. I'm going to lay some paint. I'm going to slice some of that gray and yeah, see what I can get done, guys. So a couple things I'm working on tonight, but let's go down to the tabletop and I'll show you what I'm working on. Hey, Ashley, I hope you're doing well. Good to see you tonight. So I'm going to black out the screen for a half second so that way we don't have that weird motion sickness thingy as I reposition the camera, and then we'll be ready to go, guys. So hang tight. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just dropping the camera for but 1 second just to reposition things. All right, popping back in. Boop. There we go. So there we're going to have, that is my Centurion. This is my Vindicator Tank, which I can actually go ahead and slot this in now. But yeah, so this is my Vindicator Tank. Neither of these, of course, you'll notice are the official GW models. They're prints that I've done. Well, I mean, they're not my prints, but they're prints that I bought, and yeah, prints that I'm printed out, and yeah, got these siege drills going on, and you can see I've got the melted guns with the heat bloom effect there. We're getting ready to go to the movies. We won't be on for long. What you guys going to see? I hope you guys have a great time. So yeah, that's what I'll be working on tonight. These guys are so close to being done. They do need just a few more hits where the decals are still a little shiny. And I forgot to put some of that micro solvent there on this one. I got him a little thigh tattoo there, some scripture of the Holy Emperor there. So yeah, I'm going to do the microsol on these guys. I'm going to do their basing, and then we'll apply some static grass from Army Painter. And we'll put the grass down. We'll put some of my flower tufts down. The shift, I haven't even heard of that yet. Steve, you keep being awesome, my brother. I hope you feel better soon, man. Superfly checking in. Oh, good to see you, my brother. Good to see everybody here tonight. So yeah, after I do some basing, we'll do that super satisfying. Got the part at the end, guys. We black the rim in, and this will be 3 more models I'll be able to call Dunzos and put in my logbook for the year. So that's what's going on today. I've got these guys. I have also recently painted, just to show you guys off, especially since Brother Atlas isn't in the chat yet. He had a commission he wanted me to do for this 3D printed Vindicator Assassin. So it's mostly in the black bodysuit, but he's got his Astra Militarum force he's putting these with is a desert theme. So we put the desert theme on the cape. And I'm going to be honest, guys, there's not a ton of detail on this assassin because it's mostly the black bodysuit. And so I took a little artistic liberty and we put the desert color on the sniper rifle itself, on her knee-high boots, and I think that ties it in a little more. And then for the visor color, we went with the green there because I'm also working on a one of the shape-shifting assassins with that green energy assassin's blade. And I was like, you know what? They would probably mesh pretty well together if I put some of the desert camo or the desert color on her boots and her knee pads and her pouches, and put some of the green from her energy blade onto the visor here, and they'll just tie them both together. Basing completes the minis. True. And I will be basing up the Ultramarines tonight, although I'm going to paint some of the details on the base, like here, the broken gate, the skull, and the alien head here. But the Brother Atlas, who I'm painting these for, he's got some sand texture he wants to put on the base after I'm done painting them. So unfortunately, I'm just doing the painting part, and he'll be doing the basing process. But yeah, I've been working on these for Brother Atlas this week. That's been a pleasure. I'm going to go ahead and sock it in. I made sure to save this barrel for the Vindicator out, so that way I could paint it separately. And just slot it right in. Oh, actually, I wasn't going to slot this in yet. I forgot. It's not as done as I would like it to be, because I think I decided I wanted to add a little bit of, all my Ultramarines have a little bit of this white color here, where like you can see here, I put it on the helmets, sometimes the knee pads, sometimes it's in some of the shoulder details. And so I like putting just a little bit of white as an accent color. And I think on the Vindicator here, I might decide to add it somewhere else later on. But earlier today, I decided I want to take this housing here for the cannon. I think I'm going to put some of the off-white color on that tonight too. So we'll probably get that started tonight as well. And then after I paint that, once it's nice and dry, we'll slot it in. And then we can glue down this part of the tank here, and we can start painting in some of those other details. So yeah, I got some stuff to do tonight. I have realized I've been pushing a lot of infantry for my Ultramarines lately, and I think, yeah, so that made me want to decide to, actually, I've had a couple of tanks for a while now, half painted, where I've just done up like all the airbrush highlights, but then I just kind of left them at that stage. So I've got my Vindicator here. I've got my Predator tank here. And yeah, you can see there's a little bit of shading and highlighting on those guys. And then like after I did those parts, I just kind of left them be. And so that's where I'm going to go back. And tonight we're going to start with one of them, which will be the Vindicator. Start painting in some of that detail. And once I knock that one out, thank you so much. Yeah, and after we knock out one of the tanks, we'll see if I have, the drive to go back to infantry, or if I'll stick with painting the other tank. We'll just see what I'm feeling from there. I also have a couple of things I need to work on. I've got this nice big old Redemptor Dreadnought. It's funny because I just did the airbrushing, highlights, and shades on it, and then I painted all the details, like I fully painted the guns for the gun arm. But then, like, just the rest of it is just so bare and unpainted. So there's that. And then the Invictor Tactical Warsuit. Same thing here. I did the highlights. And yeah, I just kind of left it. So lots of details to cut in. So who knows? After I finish this tank and these 3 Centurions, I might feel like going on to a Dreadnought. I might knock out some more infantry. Lots of stuff for me to do. I did print off 3 of these Plasma Inceptors. But I don't know how I want to base them yet, because I never liked the stand, the GW stand, the thin plastic clear stand that everybody snaps when they're trying to play these guys. So I've seen the cool little ones that plug into the back here. That's like the jet exhaust, and that the jet exhaust mounts to your base. I've seen that, and that still kind of feels like, I'd be sitting it kind of fragile. I don't know. I might just paint one of those up. Or I might do what I did with my White Scars Inceptors, where just basically I took the base, I built up about 3 layers of cork and had them standing on the cork, like a hill, and base around that. So I might go with that as well. I haven't decided yet. So I've actually been putting off painting these 3 guys because I just don't know how I want to do the base yet. Brother Superfly there said, basing matters, so I gotta get that sorted out. So yeah, that's my plan for tonight, guys. There's a bunch of stuff I could do. My dreadnoughts, I might go to another tank, some more infantry. Um, but first, I'm going to get past these 3 Centurions and this Vindicator tank. And you guys may even join me on a little web search tonight, because what I've been doing a lot with these Ultramarines is scanning the interwebs for pictures for inspiration. And I know that's something a lot of us do from time to time. Is, we're not sure how we want to paint something. We just go online. How are other people painting it? Even though, most of the time I'll see what somebody else is doing and I may try and emulate part of it, but then I'll go off and do my own thing. It's funny. I own several solid palettes and 2 different wet palettes. And for some reason, my stubborn self, I keep using this this soup lid from Walmart here as my number 1 painting palette. It's my old reliable. Also, one thing I like about it is, after you build up enough layers of paint on your old paint palette and you finally go off and you peel, a paint palette like that, it's just so satisfying to peel up like, hundreds of layers of paint in different colors as like one solid peel away. It's pretty satisfying. Okay. So put some ground basing down. This stuff here. So I ran out of the AK interactive stuff because I use so much of it. A tube of AK interactive, and I got to the bottom of the. It's like basically, rock or concrete. It's like their chunky granite basing or whatever. And I got to the bottom of it, and instead of going out and spending another $15 or so on another tub of texture paste, I just basically looked up a guide on how to make my own. And so this is mostly like sand and rocks, and the base, the bulk of it is clean, never used kitty litter to soak up some of the paint color and glue and a little bit of water. And yeah, and so it comes out a little soft, but then after I put down my texture, I go back with some PVA glue. We've got to leave. Greg says he's excited to see how it turns out. Thank you so much. You guys have a great time and enjoy your date at the theater, guys. And I'm gesturing at a camera, but the camera's on the mini, so you can't see that I'm gesturing at you, but you guys have a great time. Enjoy your date, guys. But yeah, so basically it was just some sand, some rocks, some clean, never used kitty litter, and a bunch of PVA glue and some water to thin it out, and then just a top coat of PVA once I put down my texture. Yeah, and I kind of basically, using some stuff around the house, decided to be a little cheap and made my own texture paste, and it's working out pretty well. So you guys know I usually like to start the show with a poke. What's my poke chop? What you got for a poke chop? What you been doing? That's kind of it, guys. I'm showing you here. I did those assassins this week. I put a bunch of work into these Centurions this week, and I just started on the Vindicator Tank here. One cool thing about the Vindicator Tank I wanted to show you guys. So we had been wanting to try the metallics from the Army Painters speed paint line, because I was like, a contrast paint metallic. So I wanted to try it out. And so this is the Glittering Loot Gold from Army Painter. One coat over Lead Belcher. Came out super nice and vibrant as far as the gold goes. Even looked like it had already been washed with a little bit of Reichland flesh shade. If you had just gone with standard metallics, your standard, flesh wash over gold, this is what it looked like. And then to give the whole cannon here more of a gritty kind of toned down look, because it was a little too vibrant at first, I went in with some black oil wash. You can see kind of built up in the recesses here, and just slathered everything, and then rubbed off some areas with a Q-tip, to buff some of it out. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. Just one coat of glittering loot gold, speed paint. I think I've got it here somewhere. I could show you. Oh, here it is, right in front of my face. Yeah, so speed paint, glittering loot gold, right over lead belcher. It came out beautifully. So yeah, if you guys are interested in the speed paint metallics, I'd say the gold over lead belcher is a pretty nice option. Play sand has larger and smaller rocks and sand for about 10 to 15 bucks. You'll never run out. Ah, yes. And actually, I have some of that around because I bought it to fill up my standing punching bag. So it's a good tip, my brother. So yeah, I just looking up a few YouTube videos of using some glue and some paint, some rocks and sand, and some kitty litter. That clay, that moisture absorbing clay, really kind of did a nice job filling out the body of this stuff. And um, I didn't have to leave. It's funny because they're like, yes, saving the money was nice, but also I didn't have to wait for Amazon to come. I didn't have to run to the hobby store. Without leaving my house, I just made myself a nice another tub of basing paste. So it's not a perfect solution, mind you. It's the fact that I do have to go back with this top coat of the PVA glue, is I don't know, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. It's an extra step, but at the same time, covering the whole top side of this texture paste with PVA glue. You can see this. It's like, here, I'll just use the back of my paper. You can hear that. It's like rock hard once I did the top layer in the PVA glue. And so it provides like it's softer at first. It needs that PVA top coat. But once I put the PVA top coat on top, it's a pretty durable surface here. Ah, baking soda is good to go. A good go-to as well. Nice. Thank you for the tips, my brother. Now we're going to, we did some of the all over lighter gray. So pewter gray, light gray, and white are usually my triad of colors before I lay down my grass material. Yeah, I should have thought of the baking soda because I always keep some hobby baking soda on hand for like super glue hacks. I'm sure many of you know you can use the super glue and baking soda hacks as like when you need to fill in some gaps, or if you need to add like sturdiness to a weak part. It almost makes like its own. It almost feels like it's a really hard bond that it makes. Can definitely be used as a supplemental material, super glue and baking soda, if you just really got to make something nice and solid. Glue the rocks down, use 50-50 water and PVA to help keep the base flexible and hard. Nice. It's funny because in this application, I'm really only using like the stone color and the texture paste and whatnot as just kind of an undercoat to doing the sand. And that's just because when I see people doing just sand on a flat surface, it looks a little weird to me. I usually, unless they're like on a football field, I just expect to see some texture on the ground. And so I really doing all these three colors on the rocky texture before I put my sand down is probably overkill. But I just figure if any of the stonework underneath is peeking through, it'd have some kind of like natural ground look to it. Okay, we're going to let that dry brushing sit for a second before we pull out the glue and the grass. So now I'm going to pull out some bright neutral gray from Pro Acryl. So I read that this is supposed to be an equivalent, or close approximation to Gray Seer Gray from Games Workshop. And personally, so far, it is close, but still a little more dark and more gray, whereas the Gray Seer from Games Workshop seems to be a little more off-white. So it's just not quite as bright, but it's close enough, I'd say. And as with most Pro Acryl items, I love how smooth it goes on. I'm going to start doing some of that right now. Now, being that it is off-white, it's not super, the cover isn't super amazing and smooth, but for most off-white colors, it's still pretty good coverage. I think it helps that it's, like I said, it's a little more gray than the equivalent color of Gray Seer. But yeah. I've heard someone say before they don't get the hype of all the Pro Acryl paints. And trust me, I am not sponsored. Pro Acryl has no idea who I am. But I do feel like it's not hype. It's just a good product. Other hobby things, trying to finish up some of my 3D printing stuff. So our response to the Help a War Boss Out, gifts for Roxy donation drive has not been as large as we had hoped. So to try and kind of make up for that, just been doing a little bit extra printing to have a little more I can throw in the box, and make up for that. And she's not here, right? 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to assume she's not here. So, one of the things I decided to print off this week, and it's kind of big. I've got like one of the smallest printers, and so because it's a little bit bigger, it took me a few rounds of printing. But one of the things I added to the box this week is I printed off the Batmobile themed orc speed buggy from Puppets War Miniatures. I thought that'd just be a cool thing to throw in. It's supposed to, I mean, it could be used for just about anything, but it's a really good proxy to use in place of a what you call uh, a Megatrack scrapjet. And I love Batman stuff. I think it's super cool. All right, so there it is. I think it looks pretty good with the white housing. As most off-white colors are, it's a little bit splotchy, so I'm going to let it dry. We'll go back for another pass. Yeah, it's looking good. So yeah, that's another thing I've been kind of doing this week with the hobby. If, in full disclosure, because I do have a smaller printer, it is not quite full size. I only had to scale it down 4% to fit on my printer. So it's a 96% size. But yeah, I think it's super cool. And this is the front half right here. I've got the back half curing right now. But yeah, look at this. This is that Michael Keaton era Batmobile style. And then Puppets War also sells an orc to go with him called Bruce Payne. So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, a little orc mobile. Look at that. You can. It's very. Oh, if you know, the '90s Batman animated series or the Michael Keaton era Batmobile. It's got that same body style and look. And that's just the front half. The back half has got the fat ass with the engines and the wings and whatnot. It's got the wing loaded missile launchers kind of sitting on like the shoulders right here. It's so cool, guys. Like Batman orc crossover, yes please. Puppet War does a couple of other cool themed crossovers. The orcs have a version of the DeLorean from Back to the Future, which is really cool. In fact, I was really excited because I saw somebody did like a scratch build or conversion about 3 years ago when I first got into orcs, or maybe a little bit before I got into them. Don't forget about Val Kilmer. Oh yeah, definitely. Now this particular Batmobile doesn't look like the Val Kilmer era Batmobile, but still pretty cool. And unpopular opinion, I liked all the Batman movies. All right, I like the Val Kilmer Batman. I like the George Clooney Batman movie. I even like the bad ones. I'm gonna say it. Yeah. So, but they've got the DeLorean, which is a cool little crossover, and they've got like I think it's um, a big mech that's done like Doc from Back to the Future, which is cool. Then there's another one. They've got the Ecto One from Ghostbusters, done in an orc style, and you can get if you want like a what are those flamer boys called? The orcs with all flamers. Um, Burna Boys. They've got 4 guys with backpacks, kind of like the Burnas that you could get to go with your little Ecto One or Orco One. It's pretty neat. And then you toss the Big Mech with them, and they even did a little squig like Slimer, so that you can paint up, which is cool. Did you like the nipples on the armor as well for George Clooney? Yes, I did. I'm a nipple man. I won't deny it. Bat nipples. Never leave home without them. Also, happy freaking Friday, my brother. All right. Well, the housing on that cannon, which is actually coming together pretty nicely. We're going to go ahead and start slapping down some glue and grass on these bases. That was so weird. The nipple comment just disappeared and then it came back. It's like YouTube questioned it for a second. All right. A lot of people for their static grass and whatnot on their bases like the PVA glue, which you can see I keep a nice decent sized bottle here. I love my PVA glue. However, not for this project. When I'm doing my grass on my bases and stuff like that, I like the fast drying basing glue, which if I remember correctly is a latex glue. And I don't know, just I like the way it works with the grass on the bases a little bit better, and I don't have to wait forever for it to dry. I do always need more than I think, though. Also, this is another use that I get out of this soup lid palette that I have here. If I were using one of my actual paint palettes, and especially if I were using my wet palette, I would never dream of putting glue straight onto my palette. But a soup lid, it'll be all right. Mr. Jimbo Fett. Damn, brother, your painting skills have become awesome. Looks great. Miss you guys. Jimbo, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you so much for the kind words on my painting. I really, I always say all the time, and in only a half joking way, but I feel like a lot of my painting skills are a direct reflect of the fact that I've been, because Freak was a natural at painting since we started in this. He painted by hand for about a month, maybe less, and then he bought himself an airbrush, and man, he was off and running. And I've just been trying to, he's just been so good since we got started in this hobby. I've just been kind of trying to keep up with him ever since. And I think that kind of friendly rivalry, has done a lot to, motivate constantly trying to push myself and, do better and improve as a painter. Because it's easy to get to a certain level and then just kind of rest on your laurels, like this is all I want to do. But having somebody I want to constantly emulate, someone I look up to in the painting, it just gives me the drive to do better. Also, it's like he's better than me at painting, but like achievably better than me. Like sometimes if you just like go on Instagram or YouTube and you find somebody that's like, whereas like I think Freak is a few levels above me, and I know Elstonation, by the way, friend of the show. You can find him down in the Friends of the Frosted Fist link tree below. Elstonation has a video saying there are no painting levels, and people should stop comparing themselves that way. But this is something I mean. Like I'm just gonna finish the thought, and if it makes sense, you let me know. But like I feel like Freak's a few levels above me in a very achievable way. Whereas if I were to just go online and look at say El Miniaturista or Juan Hidalgo, or other Golden Demon winners, or hell, even the mighty Elstonation himself. If I were to just look at people that I feel like are just leagues and bounds above me, and that was my motivation to try and push forward, it's be easy to lose motivation. When you see looking at somebody, what you perceive as just hundreds of levels above you, way far beyond what you can do, and then it's easy to lose that motivation because like I'm not even in the same league or ballpark as that person. Heck, not only am I not even the same ballpark, I'm not even in the parking lot. I'm the guy at home watching on the couch on my TV while they're playing in the World Series. Not really. I'm not really being down on myself. I'm just saying it's easy to feel like that, Whereas if you have like a close rival, someone that you feel like is, someone you're on friendly terms with, someone you feel like is achievably, close to what you can do, someone you can share tips and tricks with. Because even though Freak is better than me overall in painting, I mean, there are some things every once in a while I can teach him to do, where I've learned to do the thing first, which is always, a good feeling, where you can, it's not just a one-sided exchange of, paint and information. It's like I don't know, you're both getting something out of it. Each of you brings something like, to the table with your painting. It's good to drive each other and motivate each other that way. I remember his first airbrush, and back then it looked sweet. Almost made me want to buy an airbrush kit. Yeah, yeah. In fact, he definitely led to my first airbrush purchases, and several times along the way, he's upgraded to something else, and I've jumped with him. Now we've gone from these little $20 Masters airbrush kits on Amazon, which I still love. A lot of people are down on the Masters airbrush kits, but I think they were a great starter place for me. And even after I bought fancier ones, I still kept going back to the starter the Masters airbrush kit because it was like just like a reliable workhorse. I could just use it until it burned out because it was cheap. It would eventually burn out, but then boom, another $20, I'd have a whole new airbrush. And so yeah, but now he fell in love with his favorite, the Iwata, and then I eventually got an Iwata. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. Now I know for sure, especially I live in a small apartment, guys. You guys see that I have like a little corner here to myself, so it looks like I have a ton of hobby space. I don't. It is literally just a corner of the apartment, and it keeps my hobby stuff keeps spilling out. My wife gets into me all the time about my hobby stuff taking up more and more of the apartment, and so I've become very conscious now of trying to keep my hobby stuff in check. But that being said, um, the the one thing that made me really get better with the airbrush and like start to use was I mean, using it more often makes you better at it. But I think the biggest key to that was that when I found a place in where I could set up my airbrush and just use it regularly, rinse it, clean it for the night, without having to take the whole thing apart, but having somewhere where it was always set up and ready to use later on. Because what initially I thought was kind of kind of holding me back at first is that if I sat down to do some airbrushing, especially since I wasn't great with the airbrush, I might sit down and use the airbrush for 5-10 minutes. 5-10 minutes, and the the setup process would be like another 10 minutes. The cleaning out the airbrush of the night would feel like another 10 minutes, and then putting everything away. And it just feel like it wasn't worth the time investment, right? But with it all sitting in my first spot, I did this was like on the kitchen counter, off to the side of, just a small area of the kitchen counter, off to the side, just kind of away from everything. When I had it there all the time where I could just click it, I've got a quick adapter. So I could just click it in, turn it on, spray, do what I needed to do the whole, flushing it out, and just kind of the rinse clean for the day. Boom. Having it not be a big pain in the butt to set up and put away actually made it a lot more accessible. It made me want to do it more, and my skills came on a lot from there. Side note, dig the beard. I appreciate that, my friend. That was honestly, so it was a lockdown beard that grew, and I was like, I'm not going into the office every day. There's really no need uh, for me to shave all the time. And then that just kind of like, the longer that went on, I didn't go back to the office for a year, and then I didn't go back to the office for a year and a half, and I just kind of kept the beard on all the time because I didn't need to shave. And eventually, after a while, it was like, yeah, this is my lockdown beard. Once I go back to, an on-site full-time position, I'll get rid of it. And I've been working not completely remotely. I still have to go visit my client sites sometimes, but yeah, it's just, part of my, my aesthetic now, even when I do go on site now. It's just that year and a half transition time was like what I needed basically to test out the beard, decide I like it. The funny thing is I didn't think I could grow a beard because I tried growing one in my youth and it was just all thin and patchy and never came in. So when I grew it out for the lockdown, it was a surprise. Like, hey, I could grow one. How about this? Yeah, at first I was super self-conscious about it, so I kept it super thin and close to the face, and would shave it close pretty regularly. And then I guess after having it for a while, I grew more comfortable with it and let it grow out a little more. Yeah. Now it's still kind of wiry. I don't have uh, one of the fullest beards, but it's definitely more than I thought I could grow. So a few of you know I've been talking for a while about wanting to paint something synthwave. And the thing is that a lot, like, I love synthwave colors. And ever since discovering the channel Heresy for Heretics, where they apply synthwave to like all kinds of 40K stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, this brings back a lot of memories. I've always loved synthwave colors, and this would be so cool to put it on a 40K project. But the thing is that one of the things that gets me into armies is, the artwork, the fluff, that kind of stuff. And so even though I started out with my earliest armies being not looking like the artwork, uh, um, so a lot of my early armies were like not box art looking. They were custom color schemes. But now more of the stuff I do nowadays are like, you know, classic color schemes because I'm trying to pay tribute to the stories and stuff that got me into that army. But Votann is so new and they don't really have a lot of lore yet. And I'm like, oh man, if I painted up some Votann, that would be my synth color army. But man, I just really don't need another army right now. Synth would be so cool though. Before I left, you were working on, I think it was Grimnar in his wolf form. Did you ever finish that? That was a Bran Redmaw. And I have an earlier version I did back in 7th edition that it was I think it was a Metal Reaper miniature I painted up in his wolf form. And it was kind of a werewolf form. But I was wanting to do a one with one of the Vampire Lord miniatures from AOS, and I just haven't had a chance to get my hand on that miniature yet. When I had the money, it was out of stock, and I just couldn't get my hands on it. And then since then, it's been kind of a lean year for me this year, and I haven't really been able to make any hobby purchases. So that's why most of my hobby stuff I've been painting lately has been printed stuff, just because, I just haven't had the hobby funds to go out and get new kits. And so I have not yet had the cash flow to get the parts to make my 10th edition Brand Redmaw. But yeah, it's one of the vampire wolves that are vampire lords that are like in a wolf form, all hunched over. That I think would make a really awesome Brand Redmaw. Man, in 7th edition, when Brand Redmaw had rules, oh my gosh, I had so many fun games of where like Brand Redmaw was a lot of points. So, you know, you kind of would start off, man, he was a lot of points for a good reason, because essentially you've got a Space Wolf captain on one hand, but then also you've got a terrifying werewolf creature that kind of hits like a dreadnought. You even had the uh, what was it, monster keyword. And at the time, that could let you like absolutely hit like a truck. And so you were like almost a monster slash dreadnought kind of deal, you know, or like a tyrannid monster kind of deal, and a lord captain at the same time. So it was made sense. He was expensive, and so you know you start off the game with fewer points than your opponent, but it was cool because he could kind of deep strike a unit of gray hunt or not gray deep strike outflank a unit of gray hunters, and he could turn monsters if you made rolls like on starting on turn 2. If you rolled a 6, he became a werewolf. Turn 3, if you rolled on a 5+, he became a werewolf. Turn 4, if you rolled on a 4+. It was just really cool. And so there would be so many games where like, because I had fewer points on the board, and at the time, you know, melee armies were in an okay spot. If you could make it to your opponent, it was great. But you know, like sometimes you just get shot before you got there. And so it was just one of those, sometimes you'd be losing the battle, and then all of a sudden, you know, your captain just enrages and transforms into a werewolf. Then he's like super hard to kill, and he's just beating stuff up, and it was cool. I was looking through the newest editions for Necrons, lots of cool things there, but made me realize how far behind I am with everything. That's true, but at the same time, I mean, the new edition, and especially with the brand new codex, is a great time to jump in and learn. You know, it's a you don't have to worry about any of the stuff you missed in between. You could just start learning with 10. It's a funny thing. Something I haven't really pulled out since 8th edition is my AdMech army. And I was kind of thinking the same thing with the release of the new codex. You know, my AdMech army didn't really see, I think they may have seen one battle in 9th edition. And I'm like, man, this has been kind of on the shelf since 8th edition. It might be a good time to break these bad boys out. So I don't know, though, because like I said, it's been a lean year, and I'm not quite ready to pick up the codex yet. Also, I wasn't super fond of the rules AdMech had in 9th because they seemed kind of convoluted. You got to remember which units were, you know, what faction, and got separate special rules. Unlike 8th edition, where it was like they all had like a blanket special rule, you know, that kind of went with everything. 9th, you kind of had to remember these are the Scutari rules, these are the Mechanicus rules, which units have what keyword, and then you can layer this with this, but only if this is from this faction. It was just kind of it was a little intimidating for me to jump in and try to remember what went with what, you know. And so, especially because I played too many armies. And so, anyways, now it seems like they've simplified it a little. And there's still a separation of what's Mechanicus and what's Skitarii, but it doesn't seem as difficult because it's not like stacked layered buffs with those keywords as it was in 9th, you know. So, and plus with the data card styles and the way they do between the data cards and the entries in the Warhammer app, everything seems easier to identify what stacks with what buffs go where, because it's all kind of listed in front of you. I really like the way they've laid out the information in 10th edition. Don't get me wrong. Am I super happy about 10th edition? 10th edition's okay. It's been fun to play. Would I have rather stayed in 9th? Yes. And I know, like, competitively, from a competitive standpoint, they kind of felt like they needed a new edition because, you know, they're competitively, 9th edition had its problems, yes. But as a casual player, I was just fine with where I was, and I had just bought a brand new Astra Militarum Codex, that was good for all of, maybe 6 months before, it got flushed away. I was a little frustrated by that, but that aside, those feelings of, did we need a new edition? Did I need to replace my old codexes? 10th has been a fun edition to learn and play. And it feels, in a lot of ways, more simplified than 9th. Is it as simplified as 8th? No, 8th to me was kind of like the definition of a stripped down and streamlined, system. But 10th is good. 10th is real good. Damn, making me want to play again. I need to get something going here. Fiending for even a small battle. Well, definitely recommend finding some friends and getting in a game. You're not in the Houston area, are you, Jimbo? Because I always enjoy doing beginner games, walking people through the game. I don't know why. There's something about the feeling of, getting someone into the game and helping teach them the game I just really enjoy. In fact, Freak and I used to be the people that the store owner at our previous local game store, we used to be the people that the store owner would send them to for anyone who wanted to learn to play or get in the game. In fact, I almost out of habit, just like whenever I'm talking someone through the games, I kind of like walk them through every role, whether they need me to or not, just out of habit from, playing with newer people. All right. So your strength 4, their toughness 4. So you're going to be wounding on. That's right, force. Sometimes, usually people are real cool about it. Sometimes they're like, yes, Mythos, you told us already. I was like, sorry, have it. Carrot, my man. Nope, moved to Alpine about 4 years ago. Oh, right on. You liking it out there? Not much. You and Kayla were just talking about me. Oh, good things, I hope. Good things. That is always the hardest thing with any move, is not having your friends around you anymore. Well, if you ever feel like making a 4-hour drive, we can make a day of it. Grab some food, play some games, get a game of Warhammer in. I've got too many armies, so you can feel free to use one of mine. Just try to concentrate here, clean up some of this white with a little bit of lead belt. Well, not lead belcher, but the Vallejo equivalent magnesium. Oh, I don't know why I was thinking 4 hours. Ah, still got your Necrons. Nice. Nate, hope you're doing well. Firefighting's what you're doing out there, right, my friend? If I remember correctly. What you been up to, Nate's Miniatures? Now, I was just mentioning earlier that it's been kind of a thin year for me, and so I haven't bought much in the way of miniatures this year, but I've been printing a ton of stuff. It's been kind of my way of, since I haven't been able to buy, I just print what I need, which is pretty cool. But there's a man right there, Nate's Miniatures. If you go check out his channel, that is a 3D printing master there. All kinds of good goodies for his armies on the go. Speaking of which, being able to slot in the gun finally. I mean, nothing else is done other than, the airbrushing, but being able to slot in the gun feels good. It feels like I'm accomplished something on the tank. All right, while that cures, working for the USDA and doing the firefighting on the side. Needed a job where I wasn't getting shot at. That is fair. That is fair. Love some 3D printing. Finished a 3D printing terrain video, and I've started on the next product. Already printed 6 plates for Heretic Guard. Oh man, I can't wait to see that. I love some Guard. Which Heretic Guard? I mean, is there a particular Heretic Guard you're doing? I have just recently finished the Gaunt's Ghost series, and so I was reading about some of the Blood Pact and the Sons of Set. And of course, they come across like several other, but those are the biggest ones. All right. What color was I using for my close support? Based on the scabs from Darktide. Oh, that's so cool. Well, we have been loving us some Darktide lately, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Close support got blue flowers. Battlefield role isn't really a thing lately, but when I started this army, I was kind of like color coding what their units were by what tufts went on the bottom. So scabs, you're going to be doing kind of that beigey gray color, I take it? Of course, as I start running out of tufts, I'm probably going to be less super picky about what color tufts go down. Where are my tweezers? I was thinking of doing a brighter color, to be honest. Red armor with red cloaks and rusty spikes. Nice. Very cool. Looking forward to seeing that. One of the viewers that have been hanging around and some of the previous episodes at their local game shop, they've had a Dark Tide style game that they've been doing, and he said he was going to hook us up with the rules for that. So that is cool. I would love to see some Dark Tide on the tabletop. I think they were doing it Necromunda style or Kill Team style. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some of that. Okay. I think some of this blue on blue is looking a little boring, so we're going to pick out, I think, some of these orange tufts here too. Because orange and blue contrast nicely. I'm just making these smaller ones though. That is two smaller ones stuck together. Okay. One day I will build a large Necromunda hive. I love it. I love your diabolical plan there. A large Necromunda hive sounds fun. It looks like such a fun game. I don't have any local interest in Necromunda, and at the moment, because I want to do too much. I'm learning to play Conquest. I'll be learning to play Legion at the beginning of the year. I've got Star Wars stuff that I've had a few games of now, but I need to reinforce that learning. You guys know how it is. If you play a game one time and then you don't play it again for a while, all that knowledge just kind of disappears. Oh no, two more that are stuck together. So yeah, I need to brush up on my shatter point, and brother Atlas wants to start playing some Legion in the new year because I've got a box of the starter set. Freak's got half of that, and brother Atlas bought a starter army I think earlier this year, and it's like we have the models. We should probably do something with them, And so, yeah, that'll be kind of a drive at the beginning of the years to do some Star Wars Legion stuff. If you got any Boba Fett stuff you want to download, let me know. Absolutely. Man, oh, I love Boba Fett. I've been really loving the new Mandalorian stuff. I hate that the actor, Pedro Pascal, will not be coming back as Din in season 3, but at the same time, it did feel like, he got to the end of his saga. So I'm feeling like the next season will be like more Bo-Katan focused or something. But yeah, I've been loving the new Mandalorian stuff. But yes, love Boba Fett stuff. I'll take any Boba Fett stuff you have to throw my way for sure. Keegan, my brother. What's up, my fellow dice rollers? Finishing off some Centurions and getting started on a tank here. Now, aside from the varnishing, it's time for that super satisfying end step. Paint Minis Live, make those. What's up, my brother? Good to see you. Man, I saw you live. Was it last night? But I was like just about to head to bed, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to start up a conversation and be rude and leave right away. But yeah, I made sure to put you on in the background for a little support as I was brushing my teeth and stuff. How's it going? It's going pretty well. Freak is spending tonight with the missus, and brother Oni is starting a Frosthaven campaign at his local friendly game store. And so I'm holding down the fort tonight, doing some painting and chilling with some of my favorite people on the interwebs. Time for me to head off. Have a great painting session. Thank you so much, my brother. You have a great night, my man. Or day where you are, I guess. I always feel the love from Frosted and Fists. Waiting patiently for the Henry Cavill live action Warhammer, knowing him and seeing his armies, I know he will do it justice. I feel like that too. I'm so excited for it, especially how serious he took the role of The Witcher. He took it so seriously that the producer was getting fed up with him. It was like, okay, we're not exactly acting out the books here, but Henry Cavill insisted that they keep staying true to the source material, and ultimately is why he left the show. So, I mean, the fact that he was willing to, leave a paying gig, that by all accounts, the fans loved him for, because it wasn't staying true to the source material. That makes me feel like whatever they do with Warhammer, he's going to do it. He's going to do it right. Send my regards to Freak and especially his missus. Absolutely. Did the live action finally get approved? I've heard it both ways through media. Last I heard it was, of course, that was a month ago. I last heard anything. I heard it was going to be a thing, but at the same time, I didn't hear anything about approval processes or anything like that. So, Oh, that's so satisfying. It's funny because when you've got the messy bases, it doesn't quite feel sometimes like it's coming together the way you want it to. But then you frame it nicely with some of your basing and you do the black rim around the bottom, and boom, it starts to feel more like a finished project. Oh, he left and the show fell quick. Is this what I was saying about The Witcher? He left The Witcher and the show fell quick? I was so disappointed to hear that he wasn't going to be in The Witcher anymore because, like, I never even played the video games, but I freaking loved the show and what Henry Cavill had done with it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I own like the original book somewhere, or like the original um, novel that the games are based on. But yeah, it's but I never actually played the. Sorry, I got a bit of a. It's all gravy, baby. In fact, that's kind of natural with these live shows. Is those delays happen. But yeah, so I have the first book, but I never actually got around to playing the games. I know when Daz was doing his drunken let's plays, I started watching him play. It was the first Witcher, but like, and I was like, oh man, after watching that, I feel like I need to play it, but then I just never did. Like I do with so many other things. Speaking of which, that's another thing I've done recently. Is I have gone back to start playing back through Mass Effect Andromeda again. I started it, and I think something. I'm a big Mass Effect fan. For those of you who don't know, in fact, my dog is named. She's a German Shepherd named Commander. That's how much of a fan I am of the show. Is that I have my own Commander Shepherd. Um, which book you got? I got three of them. I don't remember the name of which one I have. It is packed up with a lot of my books around here somewhere. It's funny, we don't have enough wall space for all the shelves that we used to have, and so like my a lot of the books that were on the bookshelves are just stayed packed up in boxes, which unfortunately has not kept me from just buying more books that I have nowhere I can put anymore. But I just can't stop buying books. I love books. Like too many books. I have all of them on my Nook, but only have three physical ones. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, once I get through some more of my Warhammer books, I've been wanting to put them on not Kindle, Audible. All right, let's look for some inspiration. Since I just have one big chunk of blue and then a painted gun. So I'm going to say. All right, I'm going to bring y'all along for this journey. Y'all don't pay attention to all the prawns I got open in my browser. That steel color around the edges of the seed shield. That's pretty cool, especially with the rust effects there. Might be something I go for. But then the rest is just like a lot of blue and silver. So maybe they do have the white racing stripe there. kind of like I've done with the my little cannon housing. All right, that's kind of cool. It does look a little bland, like something's missing though. I mean, this person did a great job. It's just not what I want for my specific paint job at this juncture. Oh man, put my foot in my mouth here a little bit. Um, Again, seeing some of the same trim here. It's interesting because I thought about doing that in gold just to add a little bling. Steel makes more sense though. But you know, Space Marines are definitely prone to blinging their stuff out. And that one is just blue. Oh, I like the bulldozer yellow on the scoop. It gives it a Mad Max feel. Oh, this one. Yeah, the hazard stripes are pretty cool there. I wonder if that's if that's freehand or if that's painted in or if that's a decal of some kind. Those are some very, very clean and even stripes. Just don't know, fam. I feel like I want to break up all that blue. And I'm just not sure what I want to do with it to break it all up. The decals seem like a good start. Although my particular one, because it's a printed one, doesn't have as much flat panel space. I guess what I can do is just start cutting in details. And then we'll adding on some kind of tertiary color later on. This one has incorporated the white like I've started to, but like the whole front shield is white. It is that is a separation. Look at that. That's another person who's got like just super crisp and perfect stripes. That's kind of intimidating that their stripes work is just so clean. That's definitely not going to be me. Oh, I do actually like that they've gone with black for that shield there. I like that kind of a lot. Because that kind of separates all the just, blue and silver, blue and silver, blue and silver, right? Of course, the big ass white stripe in the middle also breaks it up. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, that's definitely a separator. Pink and use it for breast cancer awareness. I do a lot of pink in my armies for sure. All of my plasma and stuff like that is done with pink. A lot of my power weapon effects are done in pink. I really like pink as an energy color. And it's funny because I was trying to think why that appeals so much to me. And it's OSHA. The siege shield is OSHA approved. I like it. The hazard stripes are done with modeler's masking tape. Pretty easy procedure. Very cool. Painted pink, that'll break up all the blue. That's cool. I like the idea that, they're going back to the OSHA thought process. I love that they've caution striped it because you need a big flag like this to tell you that it's dangerous to stand in front of a big ass moving tank. You must label this. Please do not stand in front of the big ass tank. The Ultramarines support breast cancer awareness. The Emperor suggests that you get your mammograms. Absolutely. The Emperor protects. Damn, I love that style of highlighting all over that. That looks so good. It's like so shiny and clean, and then very contrasted by, the rough abuse that obviously the Seed Shield is taking. Wow, that really breaks it up. I feel like the hazard stripes go better with the Imperial fist paint job. Hey, look at that. Apparently, my Google knows that I'm a big fan of Auspex tactics. I know one thing that could break some of it up. So all this flat space is probably a good place for some kind of decal. What? I don't know. But quick rewind to your tabs comment. It's okay. I have like 50 tabs on my phone. Need to paint it like general. Like a general lead dozer. Can I get another link to the F&F Discord? Of course you can, my brother. Of course you can. Let me pull up the Discords. Frosted Fists. Invite people. Copy. Boom. There you go. Anyone who's interested, there's a link to the Frosted Fist Discord. And there we go. All right. After looking at all of that, I still don't know quite what I want to do or how I'm going to break it up. I'm probably going to add some bling in somewhere, some metallics. I think I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting details and see where it goes from there, guys. I'm in. Whoop, whoop. Very nice, brother. Why can't I comment? Oh. There we go. Welcome to the Discord, guys. All right, so we're just going to start with what we know, right? And what we know is that this exhaust here is probably going to be silver. And actually, these little cover panels for the exhaust, there's only one. It's look at that. It's what's the word? It's asymmetrical. Only exhaust on one side. Well, I was about to say, if that's that way on both sides, I could just do those and it might help break up some of those panels, which I might still do. An asymmetrical white panel could be decent. So I know people who see this both ways. For some people, asymmetrical thing is like, they like the look. It's something that pops to them. And then for other people, they like symmetry, and asymmetrical things bother the hell out of them. Anybody feel strongly one way or the other here? You turned it and it reminded me of a Russian World War II tank. Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, those are some pretty strong tanks, right? If I say anything like really uh, what's the word? Uh, Ignorant, I apologize. I'm not super familiar with historicals. Garrett, I prefer asymmetrical, symmetrical, but it looks good. But if it looks good, it looks good. Awesome. Check out the Dozer Blade in your Discord, thinking Ultra logo, and then that pattern. Okay. Give me 1 second and we'll pull it up and take a look. So I was talking with Brother Oni yesterday. I was on his show, doing some painting while I was on his show. And I was working on that assassin I was showing you guys. And one thing we talked about, or that I mentioned, was that sometimes, it does, you have a sense of hesitation when you're painting and you don't really know where you want to go with the paint scheme or the paint job or where to put what colors. But like when that aha moments hits you and you know what you want to do with it and it starts coming together, it's such a good feeling, and then B, you can just like feel yourself speeding up because you're painting with confidence all of a sudden. It's very cool. It's like a sudden sense of productivity. That's what I do sometimes when I get stuck is, just start working on, okay, what are the things I know? What are the known factors? Like a vent is going to be silver or black, but in this case, the vent's going to be silver. And if I decide I want it black later, I just come back and slap some black paint on it. It's no big deal. But the more things that I can feel confident about, put down some of that color, I can start seeing how it's shaping up, and that may give me an idea of what I want to do with it in the future. Never ending. Russia had the T-34. Ooh. That looks really cool. We're going to pop this up. And then, where's that share button? There we go. Share. All right, there we go. All right, so that's pretty cool. Almost like a whole sun ray kind of effect. Yeah. That is really cool. What is that what you call? Oh my goodness. It's I know this symbol, the worm eating its own tail, and it is Gosh, it's a symbol I've known for forever, and the name is just escaping me for the moment. That's really cool looking, though. I like that a lot. Hmm. Before I was like, okay, but it's all a lot of blue and silver. And what they've done is they've really leaned into, on top of what they've done here with this gorgeous looking mural and the battle damage, they've really leaned into the blue and the silver here. And it's enough silver to kind of break up all that blue. And it's kind of like doing its own thing. I kind of dig this whole thing all around. And Ouroboros, yes. Thank you so much. That was, I could feel it at the tip of my tongue. Reminds me of the Japanese rising sun. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like the whole sunbeam kind of style, but with the Ouroboros in it. I like that a lot. You could have at least spelled it like I did, so I wouldn't realize I spelled it wrong. I also like in the Resident Evil uh Albert Wesker pronounces it, or in Resident Evil they call it uh Ouroboros. And some people online, especially in like Dead by Daylight, they've started calling it Ouroboros. It's so cute. It's an Ouroboros. Man, every time I think I'm done with these vents, I turn it another way, and it's like there's another groove in the vents that didn't get painted in. Wasn't Ouroboros in Loki as well? I haven't watched it, so I couldn't tell you. In fact, Loki looks good, and I want to watch it and I want to catch up with it. However, I've just really fallen off of the wagon on all of those Marvel shows and movies. I haven't watched anything since Infinity War, or no, Endgame. Yeah, when a bunch of us went to see Endgame, that was the last Marvel thing I really watched. In fact, I wasn't even caught up then because I never saw Captain Marvel. Ah, Hellworks says yes. By the way, good to see you, Hellworks, my brother. That man has been hitting the grind hard on Diablo 4. Been powering up his barbarian, which he modeled after a guy who managed to build a barbarian so powerful that he wiped the butcher before the butcher had a chance to do his voice line. That clip has gone kind of viral. And so Hellchild has been doing the same. Then he also has been updating his druid. And yeah, he's just been kicking ass in all kinds of places. Endgame, great place to stop watching. I hear some of it after it's been good, but like I heard the show with Hawkeye's daughter was pretty good. I heard WandaVision was really good. And of course, I hear great things about Loki. Not too many things because I'm always like, no spoilers because I kind of want to watch that. But yeah, then I just never caught up with anything after that. Oh, and then I really want to catch up on Spider-Man. I need to see that third one where it's like all the Spider-Men are together. And I need to watch the Spider-Man animated stuff. All the Spider-Verse stuff. I haven't watched either of them. I'm not sure what I want to do, guys. Oh man. Kelchild, spare my ass, please. It's where I do all my talking from. The Spider-Mans were great. Yeah, I want to watch that. Just found a random vehicle partially assembled. This can't be good. No, that can't be good. Where are the parts for this? I hate when that happens. All right, chat. I'm going to ask for an opinion here. So there's this hatch here, which I think I want to leave the hatch blue. There's this ring around the hatch, though. And I think I want that to stand out. And so I don't know if I should, I mean, leaving it blue is an option. If I should do a white to match this, the cannon housing, if I should do it in metallic like silver, or on my Rhino here, I've trimmed it in gold, you know, because Ultramarines are going to bling out some things, right? So anyways, yeah, so this ring around the hatch. Oh, I could even do black. Black would probably be another standout color. What do you guys think I should trim that hatch in? Give me some feedback. Let me know what your thoughts are. Bill, my man, are you down? Weathered gold. All right. A gold so the guardsman can see it in the dark. All right. You know what? I think that's the call. I think that's what we're going to do. Plus, it'll match the Rhino that way. Thank you, gentlemen. Bill, my man, hit me up on Discord. Let me know if you're ever down for a collaboration, man. We can do a paint and chat together. We can cover some news together if you want. We can play some Dark Tide on the channel sometime. Let me know if you're down for a collab, my friend. I'm trying to focus on this pipe because one of the worst things is when you accidentally get a misstroke over your nicely blended airbrush work, and it's just like, oh gosh. Because like when I'm working by brush, I can usually just go back with the previous color. But sometimes when I do airbrush, that final color, that what it looks like is a blend of like several layered colors together. I'm just like, I don't want to have to go back and clean that up. Oh, speaking of which, I did that mistake. Okay, so you guys know how GW lids are, right? How they build up paint along the edges and it'll keep the paint pot from closing correctly. And sometimes it builds up right where my thumb goes. And so when I pop it open, I don't realize I've got a little thumbprint of silver on my hand, right? And so I was so close to finishing up these aggressors that I finally finished them up last week. And I had was so close to finishing up, and I realized that on like a couple of legs around the base where I had grabbed the miniature, I had one of those stray silver thumbprints, and I was just like, ah, oh no. I'm really pleased with the way they came out though. But yeah, you got to hate that when you think you're so close to being done, and then all of a sudden, just like one little mistake, it's just like, oh, I got to go back and start over from a previous point. I hate that from the GW paintballs. Absolutely. Like sometimes they can be kind of convenient because if when you shake the pot, you can kind of use the top as like a little paint palette thing. They can kind of be pretty good for stuff like that. But oh my gosh, the paint on the fingers and all the lids that don't close properly and stuff like that can be real frustrating. Now, I hate to be lame, fam, but if anyone was looking forward to the usual Frost and Fist after party, where we hang out in Discord after the show, this week, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to because we're having our Thanksgiving with the extended family tomorrow, and I've got to get up at like 4 in the morning to start the turkey because we're going to be eating around 1. Plus, it's like an hour drive out there, and I just want to make sure that everything is done on time. People aren't sitting around waiting for a turkey that's not showing up on time. You know how it goes. So since I got to be up around 4, I'm going to bow out, right at the end of the show tonight. So I apologize for any inconveniences that may cause. But I think we all know this time of year around the holidays can kind of make it kind of crazy for like stream times and stuff like that. All right, some pipes on top. You have inconvenienced me. Spoilers. Also morning. Good morning, Elston Nation, my brother. It is so good to see you, my friend. So the after party starts at 4:30 a.m. Got it. Oh my goodness. Parts found except for the windows. Who needs windows? I'm down for just about anything there, Mythos. Would love to come hang out with you. Awesome. Yeah, we'll set something up, brother. Else Nation, how are you, my friend? How are things on your side of the world? I was just talking about how beginning of the year I'm going to do a push to get some of my Star Wars stuff from Legion and Shatterpoint painted up. And man, if you want to see some work that is just really top tier Star Wars stuff being painted, you can go check out Elster Nation's Instagram page. And he has done a plethora of amazingly painted minis for Star Wars. And I think we featured a bunch of his Shatterpoint stuff on Art of the Week before. All right, so for this gold here, for a brighter gold like I do with my Ultramarines, I weather them by just painting on the brighter gold, and then I go back with an oil wash around there, which is um, part of black oil wash, part brown oil wash. And if I feel like it needs some warming up, maybe a little Reichland. And then I come back through and touch it back up afterwards, if it's too dark. But usually with the oil paints, I can just, wipe away as needed with a Q-tip or something. Can we do a collab where I just drink and watch you paint and point out how wrong you're doing it, even though I've never finished a single mini? Yes, we can, brother, because I think that would be hilarious. But also, we've got to get your Snuggle Buddy Freak on for that episode because, he's way more reactive to smack talking than I am. I'll bring the bourbon. Nice. I'm good, buddy. Reconnecting with old friends. So believe it or not, I haven't painted anything for a couple of weeks. Wow. Well, on one hand, uh, I mean, you've reached like, you know, painting deity level at this point. So I'm pretty sure if you just really concentrated for a moment, you could exhale and breathe out painted minis. Like your breath would just coat, minis into like 5-star paint schemes. But also, yeah, it's awesome to reconnect with old friends, and obviously, I think friends that we haven't seen in some time uh, definitely are good for taking priority over the little pleasure hobbies that we do on the side all the time. And plus, when we do that, when we make time for stuff in real life, then we don't have to convince anyone later that we're not obsessed. We can stop doing it at any time, and no one should be concerned or make any phone calls. To which point I will point out, so I was mentioning earlier today that I played Mass Effect Andromeda a little bit when it first came out, and I went on to playing other things because so many good games came out at the time. And so now I'm getting around to playing it. I've already like fell back in love with Mass Effect, and I've played so much of it just this week alone that I've passed where I was before in my first playthrough. And anyways, my wife said today that that maybe I'm taking the Mass Effect thing a little too far, and maybe I needed help. And you know what? I said the same thing. I can quit at any time. It's not a problem. I don't need therapy. Has anyone ever made a vehicle model with the door open? I haven't, but I've seen it done several times, and usually people will model, they'll put it on a base and model like somebody getting out of the vehicle or having freshly gotten out of the vehicle, standing outside the open door with like, a gun up, like they're scouting or stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen it done a few times. Looks pretty cool. Oh, I've seen one where somebody had the Invictor tactical war suit where it was open and the Space Marine was outside of it, in like a crouching pose, like he just jumped out and he had like a rifle, over his arms. Hatch or door, done both. And I've seen another one of an Imperial Guard Scout Sentinel where the legs were kind of buckled, like it had lowered itself. and the hatch was open, and the guardsman they had painted was, instead of inside the cockpit, was outside of it with the hatch open and smoking like a cigar. That was pretty cool. Both of those ones I think were featured on Art of the Week some time ago. Ah, drop door, Sagittar rear door. Yeah, I'm sure it could be done. I think I was saying, a lot of people would do that more for like a diorama style, put it on a base and have somebody getting out doing something, or have somebody inside the Sagittar with the drop door, standing out, with their gun ready to shoot. On my battle wagon, I've got a grot gunner just standing there, bouncer style, on the back where the drop down door is. It's one of those doors that's fall down and turn into the ramp up onto the vehicle. And he's just standing there with his gun over his shoulder, looking like a bouncer with his arms on his hips. Okay, hobby Christmas wish list go. Well, being that I've been really into my Ultramarines lately, I think G-Man would definitely be one. Because I recently finished the Gaunt's Ghost series, and the Gaunt's Ghosts have just become like one of my favorite 40k things ever. I don't actually own the Gaunt's Ghost unit for my army, so I think that would be really cool to have a piece of the lore as part of my collection. Oh shit! I did that mostly okay, and then I got to the end here, and will it show up on? Yeah, you can see there. Colored outside the lines. I will. Can I clean that up with just a wet brush? Always afraid to do that with gold because sometimes it just smears. All right, I'll give that a second to dry up, and we'll go in with some of my mid-tone blue. Necron Barge was all wide open, lots of added detail, but then again, it was open and had no option unless I built the cannon instead of the trooper carrier. Yeah, those Necron barges could be a pain to put together. I would also like to get into some 3D modeling in the future. Would be cool to have a Marine standing at the door disposing of a shell casing. That'd be cool. I think since this one's parts are missing, it'll become a diorama style. That'd be cool. Also, you could always, since you've got some printing, since you got yourself a printer, you could always look for a part or something like that that could, be used as either a diorama option, like a ramp, going up to it, or you might even find a good replacement door, or kit bash, converting, and printing are all great options for that kind of thing. Also, Christmas wish, hobby Christmas list. Um, so Gaunt's Ghost, Gilliman. think I want to get a apothecary biologist at some point. Seems like those would be really good. I don't know. I would say maybe some Voton models, especially like some of their Terminators or even their like Hearthkin Warriors, which would be really cool to paint. And so I could try a synthwave style on. I think those would be really neat. Although I know I cannot justify any more room in my house for another army. I am very cognizant of that, but it would be cool to maybe just like a small, like a single unit or something to paint. That'd be cool. I also need more Voton for Xmas. That's right, Keegan. Build them boys up. If you had orcs, that would be a great option for an orc bash kit. Yes, Keegan, come to the Green Tide. That's the most blue I've ever seen on the screen. Holy cow. Also, happy Friday and wah! Brother Roxas, I do love the synthwave style. I don't know if I said hi to you earlier, Roxas, when I saw you in the chat, but good evening, Brother Roxas. I ordered 2 custom Emperor models. You guys paint one, and I paint one, and we compare. Ooh, that would be amazing. Oh, okay. So this could be like a, not that, and I'm saying this jokingly. I don't think I'm a better painter than you by far, and this is just like a jokingly based on the style of the show. But this could be like an Iron Chef thing. You could paint on whether you would like to paint and compare to Iron Chef Freak or myself. You get to pick out whoever you want to paint against. That would be cool. That'd be real cool. I found the Voton files. I'm going to print and paint me a construction faction. That's cool because you have really the actual squats from Necromunda you've done in the construction kind of paint scheme, right? It only makes sense that you gear your Voton that way too. No, Mr. Jim, I have class, not like those nasty orcs. Hey, orcs are great. Mythos, you need to work on that trash talk. You're not supposed to tell them it's a joke. You're right. I do need to work on my trash talk. The only time the trash talk really comes out of me is, when I'm playing first person shooters against people on screen. And then, just people have to take the keyboard away from me. Or when we're doing 24 mans in Final Fantasy 14, and some of the other parties are are talking trash. Quick, Vitality, take his keyboard. Oh man, I used to talk some trash. And once I said, okay, so we had we were doing a 24 man, which is 3 8-man teams, and our guild was one of the 8-man teams on there, and then we were playing allegedly with 2 other teams, right? But we wiped a couple of times, and there was so much squabbling between the 8-man teams, on which alliance are the names of the 8-man teams, which alliance wasn't doing their job, because these 3 teams are supposed to work together to get shit done, right? And Golden Chef, we need a good name for it. Have a third party pick a single or a couple colors, and we must incorporate into the model. Have chat vote for the winner. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, let's do it. Anyways, so a bunch of alliances were talking trash, and they kept saying one of them kept dropping their ads on our side of the field that can cause a whole alliance wipe if it's not positioned carefully. And so they were dealing with it by taking it out of their zone and into our zone, like just leaving their trash in our yard. And we still somehow came back, saved the mission, and helped clear, even though like we had been screwed by another alliance. And so after we were blamed a couple of times, and really just the alliances were all blaming each other, we finally got past that one. And our healers not only were able to keep us alive, but our healers were healing other teams and other teams' healers to keep other teams alive. And so we were done. I was like, oh man, can anyone get a heal for our tank? Why? Because our backs are all sore from carrying you mother truckers. I'm talking mad trash. And uh, anyways, I start talking about. I went back to classic military school. I started talking about people's mamas. I started talking about people's, trash classes, trash plays. And just eventually, the guild had my wife unplug my keyboard and take it away from me, and I could only play with the controller. You can't talk trash in Call of Duty anymore. The AI will kick you out. That sucks. That's when I can do my collab. So y'all have to paint against each other with me constantly talking trash in your ear. Oh, that's like a sabotage for a kitchen, uh, cutthroat kitchen. What about Iron Brush? I think that'd be a really good uh, take on the whole Iron Chef thing, while clearly being painting and still resembling the Iron Chef kind of deal. The Iron Brush. And since Iron Brush is a great name, there we go. But since freaking Oni are better painters than me, it'd be like Iron Brush Oni, Iron Brush Freak, Aluminum Mythos. Finger Paint Mythos. All right. I know those headlamps look like a mess now, but I just wanted to get that super green, glowy color in the headlamps, and then I'll go around and do the housing of the headlamps in the lead belcher later on. Uh, Would you all be close enough to get on painting it, or would you have to draw straws? We would. We're about an hour away from each other, so we probably just draw straws on which one got to do the painting. Or like the whole Iron Chef thing, you could pick which one of us you wanted to do the painting to compare to. It's pronounced aluminium. You're right. You're right. Aluminium brush mythos. I've been driving my wife crazy lately, as if that's something new, but specifically with this story, um, because y'all know it's no secret. I want to get across the pond so badly. Um, and anyways, so we sometimes watch channels like Lost in the Pond, which is run by a it's a channel done by a gentleman who grew up in the UK, now lives in the American Midwest, and is constantly comparing things to the difference between things between here and there, right? Anyways, so it's a channel we like to watch from time to time. And I'm like, man, I should really start incorporating some of this into my everyday life. and anyways, so lately I've been referring to French fries as chips and chips as crisps, and it's been driving her crazy. She's like, we're in America. I'm like, well, I'm trying to get there, so I'm just trying to use the right verbiage. It's driving her nuts. So one day she was doing some grocery shopping, and I wanted some chips for my sandwiches, but I kept saying crisps, and she means you mean potato chips, and I'm like, no, crisps. And so finally, she handed me the Walmart app and set the search engine only for crisps. But the joke was on her because Pringles are called crisps. So I still got my chips. That's not the way you pronounce aluminium, but thanks for understanding. It's my it's my pleasure to butcher what you put in chat, sir, I guess. I was looking forward to a 1v3. That would have been a good flex to hang my hat on. What about biscuits? Have you tasted a biscuit mythos? Taste the biscuit mythos. I still haven't watched it yet. Man, I said I was going to do that when we got offline the other day. I totally forgot. That's hilarious. It definitely a backfire on her. Oh, shit. Okay. Talk shit, get hit. All right. So I'm laughing about getting one over on my lovely lady. And then I went to go shake my paint bottle here, and I never closed it. So it just splashed all on me. Ugh. No, not on my Is It shirt. Oh, no. Oh, and now I have white stains on my shorts. This isn't good. This is why we can't have nice things, guys. All right. That's what I get for talking crap. Get wrecked. The culmination of my actions. I had to buy this D&D shirt that Outside Xbox put out for their D&D series that says, the consequences. They returned again.
Also, misremembering just a little bit. Yes, Pringles are called crisps, but they're also called chips. The ones you ordered, though, were the Walmart brand ones that taste like cardboard with way too much flavor seasoning on
I thought they were fine.
Those things taste like cardboard. And they tried to mask them with some like flavoring powder on top.
You know what?
You can have those crisps.
I'm not going to argue because I just got wrecked with paint. I just what I did a few weeks ago. I was opening a fresh sealed bottle and flung paint all over the place. Oh no. Thankfully, at the moment, I think the paint just got on me, but watch me find that, paint ended up getting on something that I fully finished painting and sealed and all that stuff later on. I am going to have to dye these black shorts black again, or else there's going to be a lot of Lewinsky style explanations going on. Oh, snap. Mythos is in trouble. F in the chat. Okay. Well, now that I've made a mess of myself, back to painting. I really have this bad like everything looks okay other than my clothes. But I have this bad feeling that I'm just going to find something covered in white paint later on after it's already dried and set. Oh, it's important to her when she comes into the paint shop to correct you. I'm telling you, the whole chips crisp thing has been driving her crazy lately. That's how much it means to her. Which it was why I've respectfully stopped doing it and am not being mischief about it currently at all. Because I respect her amount of distress over the paints versus chips. I love you.
Sure.
I do. I just miss you. I warned you I was mischief when we got married.
I know.
She thinks about it all the time. It's like if only she had heeded that warning. Press F to doubt mythos. Joey, good to see you, my friend. Oh, it has been too long, far too long. You still play 40K, running those awesome Eldar that were kicking everybody's butt? I think you also played Gene Stealer Colts too, right? Or am I misremembering? No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you think you also played Gene Stealer Colts. We live in a small apartment. The paint shop is what's supposed to be the dining area. It took me like 10 steps to get there from my computer. Never GSC. Okay, I must have misremembered. Dark Angels of the last year. That's cool. Not that I need another Space Marine army because I have too many Space Marines. and I'm definitely not considering doing a kill team of Howling Griffins because the color scheme looks cool. Um, but we were playing Deathwing on the channel, some co-op Freak and I the other day. This was like a month ago or so. And anyways, I was like, man, this is kind of making me want to paint up a couple of Deathwing Terminators. I quickly rethought that though, because I know I wouldn't stop at one squad of Terminators. One squad of Terminators would be like one squad and maybe some troop choices, and then you got to have a leader to lead them. And that's why I'm like, maybe for Harley Griffins, maybe just a kill team. A kill team is like easily definable. It's easy to find a stopping point. You should come out to an event. I sell terrain now. Nice. Love my Deathwing Knights. Oh man, Deathwing Knights are so cool. I got I went played in a tournament, doubles tournament, a few weeks ago, and I was playing my Imperial Guard, and the Deathwing Knight Terminators came out of Deep Strike with a captain in Terminator armor, and just absolutely ate my lunch on the back line, where I had like my Rogel Dorn battle tank, um, my Lehman Russ battle tank. It was my little fire support area. Just got absolutely wrecked. All right, we're cutting in some details, and the white little vent area, I think, is doing a decent job of helping break up that area. The gold definitely is helping break up that area. I think somewhere like maybe a couple of these panels might be good spots for Ultramarine decals. So it's coming together. I think I'm going to match this to this with some more gold, because you can see it's kind of well, it's hard to see because it's just blue on blue, but this is a raised kind of a arch area here. And then again, it is connected with the part that goes back into the tank. Oh no! I just dipped my paint into the black while I was gesturing. This is going sideways. First I shake paint onto myself, and then I dip my paint in my brush into the black paint. I'm just shading, guys, that's all. Just manually adding shading. This is why I don't do tutorials. It's because the ADD will get me. I try to do tutorial and people would be like, this guy's trying to tell us how to paint. Okay, that's not too bad. Yep, they will do that. Oh yeah, I was surprised because like melee has not been, and for most armies have not been doing a great job taking out vehicles in this edition, but the Deathwing Knights just, they were unaffected by the toughness of 10th edition. Does he use his takes and Space Marines as table decor like a nerdy Martha Stewart? I have to do that. Picture a lovely candlelight dinner complete with tiny diorama of Space Marines battling it out near the Chardonnay. I love it. That's the perfect date there. I use my Necron soldiers as stand-in enemies for D&D campaigns, so they're getting use. That's perfect. It is 11:02, but before I go, I think I'm going to paint the next set of vents here on top. Again, just to, because I've been sitting here thinking the border to these vents are separate from the vents themselves. So again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, I could surround the steel color of the vents with some more gold or some more white. Still trying to think about what I want to do with that. I think if I put in the metal of the steel color before I start thinking about that, though, I think it'll help really, give me some direction. So I talked a little bit of some of the hobby things I'd like for Christmas. What about you guys? What are some hobby things y'all want for Christmas? I know I only mentioned like two things, but those are the two things that came to mind at the time. Oh no, three. I mentioned a biologist too. Unfortunately, a biologist would be like an eBay kind of find because they're not sold separately outside of the Leviathan box set at the moment. It's interesting because like aside from like special characters, my list for Primaris Grey Knights, that would be really cool. Yes. Hun, Mythos Hun. Uh, or Hun, could you pass me the Age Cheddar? No, the other one near the Vindicator shooting the Lehman Russ. Yes. I love it. Now, if you need some butter for those rolls, you'll find it next to the Terminators, deep striking in over by the squad of 20 Kriegsmen. Right there. Yeah, there you go. No, no, hun. Those are regular Imperial Guard. The Kriegsmen are the ones with the gas masks. There you go. I don't know why. I just find this entire idea too hilarious. I feel like I need to do a skit of that. Man, it's been forever since Freak and I have done a skit video. Primaris Thunderwolves. Yes, that do not have lame antique weapons like the current Thunderwolves. Yes. All right, guys. Framing. The framing around these vents. Okay. I could do black. Black would break up some of the colors going on here. I could match the gold here with some gold here. I could do some white to match this and this to this. Although, I don't think white would stand out from the lead belcher color very well. What do you think, guys? I saw on Beer's channel that they released a new Necron Combat Patrol kit. That would be nice to get back into painting again. Yeah, man, that would be awesome. Company color would be good. So I'm doing second company, which is all gold trim. All of my Ultramarines have been second company. But yeah, man, if you get back into painting, I'd love to see some of it. You know, I've actually kind of been enjoying this tonight. Like, chat helps me paint. So, Joey, my man, you said I should come out to an event sometimes. Where are you doing events nowadays? Gold would look nice, flow from the hatch to the rim. It's a good thought. Probably tie it together pretty nicely. AK Interactive Copper Weathering, a set of Speed Paint 2.0 to try out. That's about it. Yeah, you know, I wasn't super impressed with the speed paints when I started them, but the more they've got a little bit of a learning curve to them, but the more I've been using them, the more I have been liking them. I mentioned earlier, for those who weren't here, that I tried the Speed Paint Gold over Lead Belcher for this gold here, and that's come out pretty nicely. This is after some of the Mr. Weathering Mr. Weathering multi-black, just to kind of weather the barrel a little bit and give it more of an aged look. I'm going to do some of that to this gold here as well. But yeah, the Speed Paint Gold has been nice. So I was especially like, I'd had trouble with some of the speed, like the 1.0 speed paints because of the reactivation issue. So I was a little hesitant trying them, and especially hearing that they were doing metallics. I was like, how good is that going to be? But I'm actually really impressed with that gold there. Shoot, I might need new paints. It's been a while. What's the dry time on the paint you're using? Honestly, like the dry time, as long as I'm not chunking it on, a lot of times these dry times for these are really good. Like by the time, you know, I'm done with a part, especially if I'm doing like on a vehicle, if I'm doing multiple areas, or if I'm painting infantry, by the time I'm done with, you know, putting that color down on the second or third guy, usually the first one is, you know, pretty dry and ready to go. This brand I've been using, Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl, is probably my favorite paint range so far. just in smoothness of application. It layers very well. Like a lot of times, even when I'm doing layering work, it will look almost like I've taken the time to blend it with the color underneath it. And that's just because it's got good coverage, but at the same time, it's not a hard opacity. It doesn't leave like streak lines where you transition from one color to the next. It layers very well. Um, it's got some colors like the blue cover really well in one go. And then the yellow apparently has really good coverage too, and that's rare for yellow. The red, like the dark red I have, it's called burnt red. It's good coverage. One coat will do you. But like the bright red, it's a little thinner. It needs, two coats. But overall, they're very well pigmented. They're very vibrant, very smooth, no texture issues. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. If you want to go for the contrast painting style, the contrast paints themselves are very good. And I've only used a few of these so far that I've liked it. I do feel like they have more of a learning curve. I like the metallic was good right out of the bottle, but like say Satchel Brown is another one I've been using, and Magic Blue. Magic Blue is a 1.0, so I've got to mix it with a little bit of matte medium when I use it to keep it from reactivating. And then Satchel Brown is a 2.0, so it doesn't reactivate, but it's a very solid color for a leather. And normally I like my leathers to not be such a solid color. It's been great for brown coating things that I'm going to make, like gold later on or something like that. It's a really great brown color. It's not as good of a leather as a Games Workshop. That's Agaros Dunes. Games Workshop Snakebite leather. I think Games Workshop has a better leather color. But like I said, that's just my opinion. But overall, my favorite brand for traditional style painting is the Pro Acryl. I have a ton of Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl paints. Awesome paint. Yeah, that's something else I could probably add to the wish list is, maybe some more of these, because I've got half of the starter set. Freaking I split one of the starter sets together to just try out because it got so many recommendations. So this is my half of the starter set. And then the what's missing here is the white and the bold blue. And then I've also, I've enjoyed it so much, I went and picked out bright neutral gray as a stand-in for Gray Seer. And then I picked up the burnt red to go with the bright red. And I have faded ultramarine somewhere. So I've got several of these colors. I just really like them. So yeah, expanding my Pro Acryl range would probably be a good one too. Special order, or can you get them at the local game shop? We have a couple of shops here that carry the Pro Acryl. The one that freaking I started going to recently with Brother Atlas is in Conroe. It's called The Adventure Begins, and they carry the Pro Acryl paints. But it's not like every paint hobby shop carries them. Like here in the Humble area, we've got Etten Games. That actually Etten started carrying them too. So yeah, they're becoming a little more easy to pick up at your local shop. Can it shoot through the airbrush with a little flow aid or paint classic style with the brush? Both feel silky smooth. Absolutely. In fact, I used the flow improver to lubricate my barrels just so I'm not putting paint straight onto the metal. But most of the time, these Pro Acryl are thin enough to shoot straight through the paint, paintbrush on their own. They're just that smooth. And by the way, I just cannot say it enough. That is just my unbiased opinion, not sponsored. They have no idea who I am, but I just like their stuff. Okay, I'm going to clean up this little bit of overbrush here my misstrokes here on the metalwork. and then we'll call it a night, guys. This little bit of overbrushing, and honestly, I probably didn't need to. It's just one of those details because this plate doesn't connect straight to the walls around it. So it's kind of sitting on top of this metal vent here. And so I just wanted to be able to see the metallic come through underneath. And that's why I got just a little bit of misstroke there, getting that metallic up and over on these areas. But I don't know. It's one of those details that I feel like no one's really going to notice, but I will know that you can see the metal underneath that plate there. Sometimes those little details that you're like, no one's going to notice, but this is for me. I think my keyboard is at the end of its life cycle. I do shoot it through my airbrush. I basically use their paint exclusively. I'm not quite there yet. I'm building up my collection, but I like them a lot. They are definitely, before my go-to outside of like G-dubs was Vallejo stuff. And I messed with, I bought a whole mess of Badger Militaire paints. And they're okay. I like them. The Sword and Superhero still hosts you guys. Now, unfortunately, they move locations, and they're just basically all in on the arcade and birthdays front now. They do still sell hobby stuff in a very short, like, hallway area. But yeah. Etten was growing when I left, had decent models, but they lacked paint. Glad to see they got to do stuff. Yeah, they opened up into a space in the same parking lot that's like twice as big now. And so they've got a lot more space. And so they've got even more board games, even more paints, good figures. They've got a whole wall now dedicated to their dice selection. It's nice. Damn shame. They had a suite upstairs. They did. A lot of good memories there. Looks like some of this metal will take a second pass to clean up. Yeah, every once in a while, I'll still pass by the Sword and Superheroes owner in like Walmart or something like that. He's like, "Hey, long time no see. You know, we still sell hobby stuff." But basically, and he never kicked us out. We just stopped going because like it just kept changing more and more into birthday space to where more and more of our tables kept disappearing. And so we'd have fewer places to play. And then some nights, even though it was like we had an established, Friday night community where people would come and spend money on Friday night, it's just, I went ahead and reserved a room for tonight. So y'all got to go somewhere else. And eventually we just kind of stopped going there. There was like no falling out or whatever. It's just, it wasn't the place to be anymore for, 40K. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a little disappointing when, you and the entourage all walk up to the stop, you pack up all your stuff, your hobby goodness, you bring your armies, and then it's just, oh, there's nowhere for you guys. You guys got to leave. Oh, that's, you go through that a couple of times and you're just less likely to go, Kept getting strange double letters per stroke or letters not actually showing, even though I pressed the keys fully. Yeah, maybe that it's going out. Maybe, stuff inside of it, like paint particles or something. Maybe time to get a new one. Yeah, they converted one of the upstairs rooms to a mini golf. Yep, they still got the mini golf, although it's outside now. But yeah, it's crazy because the new place is like one of those like, it looks like it was built by orcs. It's one of those like tin shed kind of mechanic garage places that's been converted. and the place is all dark. Like, I mean, like many arcades, it's all dark and poorly lit, and like, mostly lit by the video game lights and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's an interesting place. Like, don't get me wrong, they've got some great, cool games there. Lots of nostalgia feels and stuff like that. It's just, it's not what it's not when we the way we used to go for. It's not the place that we do. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to talk trash or anything. It's just it's not what it was, so we stopped going. And we didn't really feel welcome there anymore. All right, guys. Well, that is where I'm leaving off tonight. With your suggestion, I will probably gold in this frame around here to tie those areas together. And yeah, so I may have a little bit more done by the next time we come back to the show next week. That's a really strange strategy there. Cotton strike irregulars for some one-time renters. Doesn't seem sustainable. Yeah, I think a lot of us felt the same way. Um, and then it's funny because, like I said, sometimes when I run into them, they're like, "Oh, you guys don't come by anymore." Like, oh. So I've done something for tonight. I gave some of you a sneak peek at some new art I had commissioned done. And I think the holidays are a good time to break them out. Not that this is in any way holiday themed, but it's because it's a little surprise we've had on the sidelines for a while. But I'm going to do the outro, and something is coming back. You guys will see. But again, I thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me tonight, guys. I got to admit, it's always a little like I'm so used to doing the show with my brothers that when I do the show on my own, it's like, is anyone going to show up for just me? Am I going to be talking to myself? It's always so good when the chat comes by. You guys provide some excellent commentary and great conversation throughout the night, and I always feel like when I've got a good conversation going, I get more stuff done. We finished up the aggressors tonight. I feel like I really knocked out a good chunk of the Vindicator tonight. That's pretty cool. And yeah, you guys have given me some great ideas on where to go with this model, so I really appreciate that. If I get some paint and models, I will hit you up and maybe collaborate. That sounds good. Returning newbie beside the master. Oh, always appreciate that, my brother. But yeah, it would be great to hang out with you again. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching tonight. If you guys like tonight's video, please make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below, especially if you're watching from the archives. Feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to the channel, then we would love to have you as part of the pack here on the Frost and Fist. So subscribe to us and subscribe to our friends down below in the Friends of the Frost and Fist link tree. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.